living Islam, especially for those of us who live in this land, the land of non-Muslims. These people are still our people, and they need dawah. They're our people, and they need dawah. A lot of us, when we think about our people, our minds go somewhere else, back home, wherever that is, India or Pakistan or Nigeria or Egypt or somewhere else. But prophets were sent to the land that they were in, and those people were not Muslim, and they said, Ya qawmi, ya qawmi ibudullah. My people worship Allah. They're calling them to the worship of Allah Azza wa Jalla alone, and they're calling them my people, even though they were not Muslim. They were not their followers. Where do we see this as being important? Living Islam. The Prophet ﷺ did a treaty with the mushrikeen of Quraysh when he wanted to make Umrah. What was that treaty called? Treaty of Hudaybiyah. And part of the terms of that treaty was that they would cease fighting, that there would be no aggression from either side. And so it was a time for dawah from the Muslim side, because now they can go and they can convey the message of Islam without worrying about protecting their backs. So the Prophet ﷺ sent delegations to different places. He sent them, some of his men, to a place called Yamama. Okay, and this was a place where this was the agricultural hub of Arabia at the time. That's where all of the grains used to come from. Well, it just so happened that some of his men, they were attacked there, they were killed, and so the Prophet ﷺ sent another delegation under the lead of Muhammad bin Maslama radiallahu ta'ala anhu to collect some of to get back some of what was taken from the Muslims. On the way back, they saw a man that was sleeping and they captured him. All right? This is Sahih Bukhari. So they captured him and they bring him to Medina and they tie him up in a pillar, to a pillar of the masjid. All right? And so when they tied him up to the pillar of the masjid, the Prophet ﷺ, they told him, hey, we got somebody. We got somebody from Yamama, and he's in the masjid now. We took him as a captive. And when the Prophet ﷺ went in and he saw who it was, he said, you don't know who this is? This is Thumama ibn Utham, Sayyid al-Yamama. His name is Thumama ibn Utham, and he was from the leaders of Bani Hanifa, which was a tribe that lived there in Yamama. And so now, the Prophet ﷺ is going to approach this man and ask him, what's he think is going to happen to him? Right now, mind you, some of the Muslims have been killed, and this man comes from the agricultural hub. I mean, they've got wealth there. And so the Prophet ﷺ went to him and said, Mada indak ya Thumama? He said, what's going on? What's going through your head? And Thumama said to the Prophet ﷺ, Indi khair, ya Muhammad. In taqtul dha dam. Right? He said, I got good thoughts, but I want you to know something. If you kill me, you kill somebody whose blood is valuable. In other words, my people are going to get you. This man's tied. He's tied up like he's in prison, and he's being real cocky. Right? So he went on, and he said, وَإِن تُنْعِمْ عَلَى شَاكِرٍ. But if you show me grace, then you'll find me to be grateful for that. In other words, you'll have an ally, right, from Bani Hanifa. So he's trying to get out of the situation. I mean, you can't blame him, right? At first, he's trying to flex and say, look, I'm that guy. If you do something to me, you're going to have problems. But look, if you let me go, it's going to be really nice for you. Then he says, وَإِنْ أَرَدْتَ الْمَالِ فَاسْأَلْ مِنْهُ مَا شِئْتَ تُعْطَى. If you want wealth, if you want money, just ask whatever you want and you'll have it. And the Prophet ﷺ left him. He told his companions to get food from his house and to feed him. Okay? So he's a captive, he's eating well, and they don't say anything. The Muslims are not engaging him. I want you to think about this. There's no real engagement, but he's tied up where? In the masjid. So he's hearing the Quran. He's watching the Muslims. So think about this. Prophet ﷺ comes back the next day. ماذا عندك يا ثمامة? So he switched it around this time. He said, عندي خير يا محمد تنعم على شاكر. He said, it's all good. And if you show me grace, you'll find me thankful. When taqtu that dem. He switched it around. He still had the machismo, you know. He said, look, but if you kill me, my blood is valuable. So just be wary. وَإِنْ أَرَدْتَ الْمَالَ فَاسْأَلْ مِنْهُ مَا شِئْتَ تُعْطَى. If you want money, just ask, and I'll give you the money, and we'll be good. Prophet ﷺ left him. He was still eating from the food of the Prophet ﷺ. Third day, Prophet ﷺ came to him. He said, ماذا عندك يا ثمامة? And he said, عندي ما قلت. Just like I told you yesterday, in tunnim ala shakir, if you show me grace, I'll be thankful to the end of it. Now, mind you, this man is in the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ. It's Ahl Sufa, the poor companions of the Prophet ﷺ must be thinking in their minds, they're saying, please ask this man for money, right? We can build like a whole bunch of homes here. And the Prophet ﷺ said to his companions, Atliku Thumama, let him go. Let him go. And they let him go. Thumama went out the message of the Prophet ﷺ. There were palm trees. He went behind the palm trees. فَاغْتَسَلَ وَرَجَعَ. He took a ghusl. And he came back to the masjid. And he found the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he said, أَشْهَدُ أَن لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ وَأَشْهَدُ أَنَّ مُحَمَّدًا عَبْدُهُ وَرَسُولُهُ. Subhanallah. He became Muslim not because he was engaged intellectually, not because somebody gave him 100 proofs for the existence of Allah Azza wa Jalla, not because somebody went through some systematic approach, but he watched the Muslims. You got to live Islam. You're living amongst the people who are watching you. You can go and you can have as many intellectual debates as you like. And you can talk about how beautiful Islam is. But if you're not living Islam, then your actions speak louder than words. This man was not engaged. He did listen to the Quran, so we can't discount the importance of hearing the book of Allah Azza wa Jalla. But what he saw was a black man calling the adhan. That wasn't normal for the Arabs to have somebody who was black in a position of leadership. He saw a white man like Suhaib al-Rumi, who was treated the same as the rest of the Muslims. He saw them interacting with each other, giving each other salams. He saw the way that they treated the Prophet ﷺ, and how the Prophet ﷺ treated them and how he treated him. At no point did the Prophet ﷺ speak to him in an evil way. What he saw was the living version of Islam, and not just kalam. And I'm saying that we can take a lesson from that. That we have to recognize how important it is for us to live the deen of Islam. And that if we do so, then bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, we're going to have an effect on our people. And if we fail to do so, then we may, and Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best, have to answer to Allah for our shortcomings as it relates to dawah. We cannot live in this land and just go about our daily lives acting as if we don't have a greater responsibility to the ummah, to our people that are here, and to the ummah as a whole. The Muslims here in the United States of America, as we know, United States foreign policy dictates a lot of what happens and what doesn't happen in the rest rest of the world. We have a role to play in that as Muslims. The question that we need to ask ourselves is, if non-Muslims were to come into the masjid and just watch us for 3 days, what would they say? What would they say? Especially at the end of Sha'ban, when we argue about which day is really Ramadan. We're going with a local site or a foreign site. No, we can't go. They didn't really see it in Saudi, for sure. And we're arguing amongst ourselves and we fight. We do need to be a bit more conscientious and make sure that our masajid are welcoming, that our Islamic institutions are welcoming, that we deal with each other in a way that if somebody from the outside was watching us, they said, I want to be like them. I want to be like them. And sometimes that may mean that, especially under certain circumstances, that you hold back from saying or doing something that you may otherwise say or do. Just like the Prophet ﷺ, when he was insulted by Abdullah ibn Ubay, and Umar radiallahu ta'ala, and who said, Da'ni adrib unuka hadha al-munafiq. Let me hit his neck, Messenger of Allah, this munafiq. Prophet ﷺ said, لا يتحدث الناس أن محمدا يقتل أصحابه. You can't have the people saying that Muhammad kills his companions. Not because he's worried about Muhammad's reputation, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, but because he doesn't want to do anything that would be an impediment from people entering into this deen. This deen is beautiful, wallahi. We don't need to shoe shine the deen. It's beautiful as it is, walhamdulillah. But we need to present it as is. We need to be true examples of the deen of Islam. May Allah Azza wa Jalla make us good examples of Muslims. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us thabat, make us firm on Islam. Hada wallahu a'lam. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam wa barak.